Now, for a look at opportunities and challenges in Nigeria's oil and gas space, particularly for indigenous oil companies, I'm joined in the studio by Ladi Baba, CEO of Shoreline National Resources. For a closer look at that space, Ladi, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, your company was involved in a very, if you like, historic deal with the sale of Shell's assets. I heard it's about $50 million. That was the deal size. And after that, you've now done a deal with a Chinese lender, the Chinese Development Bank, raising about $200 million. So clearly you are big players in this space. Talk to us about the opportunities for indigenous companies, because they seem to be quite aggressive these days.
The indigenous companies or?
Indigenous oil and gas
Yes, indigenous companies are quite aggressive, largely because government has engineered the opportunities, and some of the IOCs, like Shell, obviously, and as we've seen recently with ConocoPhillips also, I've seen reason why they should rationalize their portfolio, and in doing so, invite local companies to come and participate. The greatest challenge in the past with such participation was that it was very difficult for local companies to finance more than anything else. The technical skills are actually in-house, in-country. Right. But of course, getting additional support is always fantastic. But most of the obstacle at the time was being able to finance such big ticket transactions. And I think now, once one is done, it opens up the opportunities with the international lenders to see Nigeria as a place in which they should de-risk or reduce their risk profile for and be able to put money into. So I think it's a breakthrough financially for us. Each Nigerian company gets major financing from European and also, more importantly now, from Chinese lenders who have quite a lot of funds available for Africa. Right. Increases the opportunity.
Okay, of course, you've done a deal with the Chinese. So where is this going? I mean, tell us more about what the implications of this transaction for your company.
For our company, as you're aware, we're a joint venture between a local company, Shoreline Power, and a London and Canada listed entity, oil and gas company called Heritage Oil PLC.
That's right.
We as a company, Shoreline Natural Resources, we're very proud of the transaction that we have done with SPDC Shell to acquire 45% interest in OML 30, which is a producing asset. And it leapfrogs us from being a non-existent company to a major entity in the Nigerian indigenous space. We have a reserve base that is in excess, certified reserve base that's in excess of 1 billion barrels. And I think for a local company, that's significant. Even for an international company, that is significant.
All right.
And this has given us the opportunity.
Okay, so huge financing deal with this company, and you are producing maybe closer to 35,000 barrels per day right now. But the PIB is still the, if you like, the big elephant for this industry right now. And I want to get your thoughts about how this is impacting your business, because it's moving slowly through Parliament right now, but one gets a sense that until that is done, huge investments won't be happening.
For local companies, let me speak of how it affects local companies like us. When we see it, as you know, watching the oil and gas space, the biggest driver in profitability in oil and gas upstream business is not really oil price per se, but it's really the fiscal regime. Right. The tax regime that you have. You actually lose or make more depending on what tax regime you have than even with minimal changes in oil prices. So our hope is that we'll be able to see a PIB that will be very favorable to indigenous companies. Shoreline Natural Resources is classified as an indigenous company, and there's so many other ones like us. And I believe it would be fantastic for the government to encourage local companies by giving us a much better deal instead of lumping each one of us along with possibly IOCs.
So coming back to the deal you've done, I mean, what's the next step for Shoreline with this OML 30?
Our next step is this. OML 30 is an asset, as I said to you, with a fantastic reserve-based subsurface of well over in excess of 1 billion certified. What we are producing right now is just a shadow of what is producible there. As far back as the 60s and 70s, when this OML 30 was being produced by Shell, at its utmost, it produced as much as 150,000 barrels a day.
So is that your target?
We believe obviously not in the first year, but within a short, medium, and long-term goal, within the next 5 years, we should be able to reach in excess of the 150,000 barrels again. Okay,
all right. Now let's talk about the benefit of the partnership you're having with the Heritage, of course. Now you're partnering with the Chinese.
Yes.
It seems that's probably the best way to go for the indigenous companies if they really want to leapfrog some of the IOCs in Nigeria.
it is the best way because what you end up doing is that you can get capacities which was not hitherto available to you, which is additional technical capacity, project management capacity, and very importantly, funding capacity. But if I may also add to that, one of the things that's always worried finances was what they would term as the ability of local companies to work as with best practices, transparency.
And that's what these transactions give you.
That's what it does. So when you work with recognized international partners also, it puts you under the microscope because you are now forced to also work under the best practices that they work under. As you said, we're in a joint venture with the UK PLC, who is bound by even the London Stock Exchange and UK best practices. So it imposes that on us, and that gives confidence to.
When are you going to list here, though? I think a lot of people would like to see a situation where some of the indigenous companies are now expanding in the oil and upstream oil and gas space get listed on the NSE.
Definitely, that is not a plan that we're adverse to. It's definitely one of the things we're looking into. Also, first of all, what we want to concentrate on is actually developing the asset, because once you develop the asset to its full potential, it makes it far more marketable for anyone even want to list it, whether locally or even internationally as a business. And our plan is to focus right now on developing the asset along with our partner, which is NPDC, which is the EMP subsidiary of NNPC, to develop it. They are the operators of the asset to develop it to its full potential.
Right. You know, I spoke to an oil and gas lawyer, if you like, earlier today, and he made a point that he thinks that we'll see a transition from the current 7% market share of indigenous companies to say about 25% in the next 3 to 5 years. Do you share that view?
I share that because I keep saying initially we used to think it was just government preventing the opportunities from coming or technical skills. Largely it has been financing. Now, once the international market sees that there is potential for them to make profit by investing such huge sums of money in Nigeria, they will flow in. And we've already started seeing that also with other things. Two, the IOCs themselves, they want to rationalize their portfolio. We're hearing about all sorts of different companies, apart from ConocoPhillips, also considering such divestment. And more than anything, they want to look at indigenous companies also. Because let's be honest, it also gives them a good pat on the back from the government if you are seen to be supporting the local initiative of indigenization of some of those assets. So I agree very strongly with them that this is the way to go, and the opportunities are there now for Nigerian people to tap into the both local and international banking markets also. And if I may also add this to the credit of Nigerian banks also, in our transaction we had apart from Standard Bank, we also had 2 Nigerian banks also come in with $100 million each.
So the Nigerian banks have become
EcoBank and
financiers of the oil and gas space.
Either two, you couldn't find Nigerian banks putting in this kind of money, but now you see FCMB, you see EcoBank investing such huge amount of money.
Thank you, Ladi. Very interesting perspective on the oil and gas space in Nigeria. Ladi Baba is the CEO actually of Shoreline Natural Resources.